Welcome to In the Trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics, coming to you from the studio provided by First Star Logistics, and it is top shelf, first class. And our guest today, tremendous, Orlando Brown. This guy is a pro's pro. He has been a Super Bowl winner. He has been a multiple Pro Bowl performer. He's captain of the football team. I mean, the list goes on and on. So many accomplishments. And to have a guy like that in your locker room when you don't start the way you thought you were going to start. I mean, a lot of people thought that Cincinnati Bengals would be a lot better than 0-2 in the first two games of the season, and literally could have and probably should have won two, but they didn't. Guys like Orlando Brown, who have been around, who have seen it all, are very, very valuable. We'll talk to him about the first couple of football games, talk to him about looking forward to the Washington Commanders and the rest of the football season, how he handles his professional career. You're going to like it. Orlando Brown speaks truth. Orlando Brown is a very intelligent human being, as well as high football IQ. You're going to like what he has to say. I know you could have made a lot of decisions today, and you're probably going to be making decisions all week, but you made the best one you could make today because we got a very, very special guest. Joining us in the trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics, is the one, the only, the very special Orlando Brown. This guy is won Super Bowls. He's been to multiple Pro Bowls. He's a captain of the football team. There's nothing this guy hasn't accomplished, and we're very grateful he's given us some time. How you doing, big fella?
I'm doing good, man. Doing good, man. Just got done getting my massage, getting ready for week 3.
I'm telling you, they come fast and furious now, don't they? I mean,
they do.
Yeah. So obviously, tremendous improvement from week 1 to week 2. Is that something that everybody can hang their hat on?
Yeah, man, I know, as you know, in the sport of football, man, you don't want to look for moral victories, but we definitely made a jump from week 1 to 2, man. It still wasn't enough for us to win the game, but we definitely made that jump, and I feel like we'll continue to make that jump. As I mentioned before, man, on previously when I was on here in the summer, we got a very focused and hungry group, and we got a bunch of guys that really obviously not only play hard for themselves but for each other. And that's always so important, man, when you've got a group of men that are willing to be accountable towards each other. So, man, I know that we'll be fine moving forward. It's obviously always super tough, man, starting like this. But, man, I would definitely say, man, I wasn't surprised by the jump that we took from week 1 to 2. And I feel like, man, we'll take an even bigger jump from 2 to 3.
Losing a loss is a loss. I understand that. And everybody would say that to me when I was playing. Hey,
Yeah.
loss, but man, some of them just kind of, it's just grate on you a little bit. And
Yeah.
I guess for different reasons. I mean, the Patriots game, I would have been having a hard time sleeping because I knew we didn't perform as well as we could as a football team. And you're never going to be perfect, but
yeah.
And then week number 2, against Kansas City, it's like, man, down to one play. I mean, whenever you guys get together, it's an instant classic, man. I mean, the Chiefs and the Bengals, man, it's much watch and much listen to. It is.
I know it's crazy. I've obviously been on both sides of them since 2021, and man, I feel like every single game has been a battle of some way, some sort, somehow. Even last year with Jake starting at quarterback in week 17, man, it was a battle down there to the end.
Yeah.
And I just feel like, man, that's a testament to it's so much that goes into the game, to these type of games when it's this big. I think of Indianapolis and the New England Patriots of the 2000s with Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, and some of those on the field battles in the trenches with Matt Light and Dwight Freeney, or you know what I mean, Gary Baxter versus Fred Taylor, whatever. So it's like, you know, you got all these different things going on, man, in a football game, and I feel like a lot of times it comes down to not only what's going on with the players, but the X's and O's, the behind the scenes between Coach Taylor and his staff and Coach Reed. And man, I feel like that's one of the reasons that game has been so competitive is, man, not only do we match up well on the field, I feel like, man, the coaches and their attention to detail in these game plans, honestly, every week, but especially Kansas City, is different.
I'm telling you, I was very impressed with the game plan. I love the utilization of the tight ends and the packages, different packages. You got some versatile guys there, and you used them in multiple ways. And I mean, as a group, 14 catches, 151 yards, man, that dog will hunt right there, you know. And and they did a good job at the line of scrimmage for you too. I mean, how impressed were you guys with the game plan? I mean, it looked and seemed like everybody bought in totally and executed really well.
Yeah, man. I mean, and that goes right back to coaching, in my opinion. You know, they know the type of personnel we have. Obviously, they've scouted these guys and drafted them or signed them in free agency, and so they got a great understanding of what everyone's good and bad at, and the mismatches that it may create in the moment on the field. And so, man, we were able to obviously create those mismatches, starting with Mike Gesicki, man, all the success he had in the past game, the past 2 weeks. Then I think about Drew Sample and just kind of him, obviously the role that he plays in our offense, being that, you know, that number one wide for us, man, blocking well when we need him to block well, all those different things. And then Erick All, you got the young guy, man, who's physical, who's tough, who wants it, who loves all the dirty parts about the game, man. You know, he came in, and I mean, he's pretty much playing that fullback role for us, which is extremely rare from a guy, you know, that's coming from where he came from, man. And he's super tough. I think he's going to be extremely valuable for us moving forward.
So there's always, like you mentioned, when these coaching staffs, you know, match up against each other, it's a chess match, you know, and there's adjustments and adjustments to adjustments. And when you guys came out in that multiple tight end package, it looked, you know, it was like Spags was probably thinking, whoa, you know, I'm not sure I was expecting this. And it looked like they were running, you know, like a very basic coverage on the back end, you know, just like a shell coverage kind of thing. And I'm sure he adjusted to it and everything. But that's always fun to watch too, the ebb and flow, the chess match that goes on, who's adjusting and how they're adjusting and all of that.
Oh, definitely, man. And, you know, as I mentioned, like you just said, the chess match of it, man, is just, it creates so many different mismatches because sometimes the personnel isn't always as telling. You know what I mean? Sometimes just because it's 13 doesn't mean that 88 can't, you know, run a hell of a route out there. So, you know, or Erick All won't run through your middle linebacker's face, you know, which is somewhat a rarity, man, that as I got to give a ton of credit to our coaches, man, just being able to manipulate teams and put us in great position offensively.
You know, they've got a great player, obviously, in number 95, Chris Jones. You know, but you guys, I thought you did a pretty darn good job of neutralizing him. It's hard. It's almost impossible to eliminate a guy of that caliber. But I thought you guys controlled it, you know, definitely. And what did you think after you looked at the tape?
Yeah, man, I feel like we played a pretty good game against them. There were some plays here and there that obviously could have been better, man, especially in situational football. But for the most part, I feel like we did a pretty good job against him, man. As you mentioned, I mean, this guy's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's one of the greatest to play the game. I mean, if I had to compare him to somebody in pass, he's Reggie White. You know what I mean? He's that type of esque of dominance, man. And you know, he's obviously going to continue to have a great career as long as he's putting the helmet and shoulder pads on. But I feel like we did a pretty good job against him.
So do you feel like as a group of offensive linemen, there was major improvement for you guys as well from week 1 to week 2?
Yeah, definitely, man. I feel like that's the thing about offensive line play in the NFL, man. It's so different, even with just replacing one position, and you know, having to bring in Big Trent Brown, getting that chemistry and continuity. We've had a ton of reps together this summer in training camp. Man, we've been able to grow together, which is so important. And so, man, we've got a very close unit. Our unit is as close as it's ever been, in my opinion, since I've been here. And man, I feel like we were able to take a step in the right direction last week. So moving forward, man, it's this is, I don't even want to call it the baseline, but it's somewhere to start. But man, as we get going and we get into the heart of the season, man, it should be a very, 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 very high standard, and everyone should be playing at a very high level.
I thought Joe Burrow as well, took a jump, and Joe said himself that he thought the progression from week 1 to week 2 was significant. And I mean, to me, Joe looked like Joe. I mean, he was looking down the football field, confident in what he saw, very decisive in what he was doing. And I thought he played at a really high level. He always throws the ball where he intends to throw it, that's for sure. But I just thought that all of it before throwing that football, the pre-snap, checking things out, and then post-snap, same thing, and being able to, dissect what was going on. I thought he did that at a very high level. What'd you think?
Yeah, no, man, definitely. I feel like even the previous week, man, he kind of was taking what the defense was giving him, which is always super beneficial for us up front. And, man, I think the thing with Joe is just like anybody, man, that was his first game in a while last week, last Sunday. That was the first game, I think, since November, Thursday night in Baltimore. And
right.
Man, so much of the game of football is not about the physical, but the mental state of mind that you're in. And so, man, when you're going through battling that injury, coming back, all of those different things that go with that, man, some of that stuff can, mess with the mental state of mind. Not that he isn't the same player, but he's better now than he was at that point last year.
No doubt.
And, he's better now than he was in year 4 for him, or 3. So, I mean, Joe Burrow is one of the best quarterbacks in the world at what he does, man. And he'll continue to show that as time goes. But I mean, I feel like personally, even week 1, it may not have been perfect, but man, he still was playing really, really well. And I mean, you've seen what he did on Sunday. I mean, man, he's pretty much at this point in time, comparing it to years past, he's way ahead of where he's been.
The great players like yourself, Joe Burrow, it's the same type of thing. And you guys both talk about it. I've heard you talk about it. You've mentioned it in a group setting, and you and I individually. It's like, all right, man, every rep is so valuable, and bank those reps and learn from those reps, and categorize the reps or whatever. And you're as good as anybody in my mind doing that. Joe's phenomenal as well. How important is that?
Yeah, very important, man. Very important, because it gives you the opportunity to, I guess, see it live and know how you should react, and I think about, there's times where I may miss with my outside hand, and I can tell as I'm throwing my punch that it's going to be high. So I've got enough awareness to be able to refit it and keep my feet moving, because I've practiced this rep 1,000 times. And, this has happened in those 1,000 times that I've practiced. And so every rep is so important.
It really is. It really is. And, the National Football League, here you go now into a situation where you got the long week this week. And then, later on during the course of the season, you're going to have short weeks and really short weeks, and everything you played on just about every day of the week, it seems like.
Yeah.
How does this change your preparation, your protocol on a long week, short week basis? You've been around the league now a long time. Have you kind of tweaked things? Do you have something you feel really comfortable with? How does that change for you on a week-to-week basis when you're in that long week, short week mind frame?
Yeah, for me, man, just an extra day of rest, to be honest with you. Which is always so important, man. Catching up on sleep when you can.
Yeah.
I can't necessarily say I change anything. I just move my massage from Friday to Saturday, just because obviously the difference in the timing of the game with it being on a Monday. But for me, man, just taking an extra day of rest, you get some extra film study, extra time to study film. To get ahead on the opponent, anything that they may have going on from a schematic standpoint or individual standpoint. And then most importantly, being able to dive into anything that we got in our game plan So, you get an extra day with that, man, being able to know some of the extra runs that we may be having, or pass concepts, screens, all of that stuff.
So, I was guilty as a player of when the game didn't go well, either team-wise or individually or whatever the case may have been. I was one, man, that just could not go to sleep that night. I'd be looking at the ceiling and seeing, my eyes were like projector lenses, and I'm seeing plays on the ceiling, and it's like, and I was real guilty of that. And I thought, well, as you age, man, you should be able to adjust. And I never really did. What do you like? What's your night like after, something that didn't go way you hoped it would?
Yeah, no, man. Regardless, to be honest with you, I watch the film 3 times before we go in, at least.
Wow.
I don't know why. I've always been like this since college, man. I'll watch the game 3 times on my own, just going back and reviewing, obviously, myself and anything that I could have done better, and looking at things from my perspective and my coach's perspective, which is important for me to help me develop my game. And especially on games that, man, I feel like I didn't play well. As you mentioned, I already don't sleep after games. That's just me. It's so hard. I don't really even eat on game day, to be honest with you, man.
Is that right?
Yeah, I don't, especially before the game. Man, it's always like win, lose, or draw for me. I'm staring at the ceiling with projector lenses as well. So I don't know why it's so hard for me to come down after those games.
You're right, though. It is the adrenaline rush is like, man, it's incredible. I mean, you have to experience it, I guess, to know what you're talking about. And it is. I will admit, though, I did, even if I didn't have my greatest game, if we won the game, I was a little bit, I was a little bit better. If we won a game and I didn't play great, I still had a problem. But man, if we won and I felt like I played, I'd sleep like a baby, pretty much. But if we lost and didn't go well, I was up all night, man. I didn't get a wink of sleep.
Oh yeah, nothing worse than that, man.
It's brutal.
Yeah.
So you don't eat game day. I mean, how about you do any energy bars or anything like that to get you? I mean, you don't feel like you start to, not fatigue, but I mean, do you feel a little funky or anything?
I don't, man. I remember my rookie year, Marshall Yonda was like, I didn't see you in pregame meal. And it was my first start. We were playing New Orleans in Baltimore. It was week 7. And he's like, I didn't see you in pregame meal. And I was like, yeah, I don't. It was a 4:25 kickoff that flexed it. And I was like, yeah, bro, I don't eat on game day. And he's like, don't worry, young buck, that'll change by year 4. And, I told him, I remember telling him, like, man, I don't know why, but it's just kind of always been me. And so I don't, if it's a Sunday night game or like Monday night, I'll eat a big breakfast in the morning because you've got so much time. But like, I don't like to have food on my stomach. Like for a 3:25 kickoff in Kansas City, I don't like to have food on my stomach. So I'd much rather go out there empty stomach. Now I've got like stuff that I take, like I've got a whole list of supplements that I take every single day before I hit the field with amino complexes and all these different things for energy. But man, I pretty much, you could say I carb load the night before. And man, I go out there and I'm ready to go.
So did you do this in high school and college as well? I mean, when you played like a night game Friday night under the lights, in high school or whatever your high school played, did you not just eat breakfast, not eat lunch and dinner again? Really?
Yeah, I wouldn't, man. I feel like it was one of those things that like kind of started from my dad when I started playing in 8th grade and he didn't play with food on his stomach. So I feel like he just kind of like poured that on me. For a while, I would wake up and not brush my teeth on game day as like a superstition. Like I kind of got over that one though. I moved away from that one once I got to college. But yeah, no, man, I guess you could say it started maybe in 8th grade for me, man. I never really ate before games, and man, it just kind of worked out like that. I feel my best.
Your dad, the late great Zeus. I mean, do you still draw upon some of the things you guys talked about? I mean, to this day, is part of your preparation for each and every game? Some of the things you guys talked about.
Yeah, man, a lot of things that we've talked about. I've got I've got so many. I've literally have every game he's played in the NFL and on DVD, man. During my time in Baltimore, Doobie, who was the video guy there, would bring me videos and burnt CDs of 1993 Browns film or 95 Ravens film. So I've got all his games throughout his career on DVD, which is pretty cool. And sometimes, man, I go back and watch it, not to watch him, but to watch Jonathan Ogden. So, but, you know, and that was something that he always kind of told me, man, was, you know, to study him. But it's so much I learned from my dad, man. I mean, I could spend a whole day talking about it. For me, I think one of the most important things was really just understanding that football is a game of emotion. And, you know, you can't go out there and ride the emotional roller coaster. And for me, that's paid such huge dividends for me throughout my career because, you know, we all know the guys that come in and start well and the second quarter is bad, third quarter is good, fourth quarter. And, you know, he'd always tell me, hey, if you come out there talking trash from snap one, the last snap better be the same. And, you know, if you come out flat early, don't be the guy, you know what I mean? Don't ride the wave, just keep it steady. And so, man, that's some of the best advice he gave me was to be emotionally, to play football with emotions and, you know, understand not to ride the emotional roller coaster.
So I don't know how much time you've had to look at Washington. I know you're a student of the game, obviously.
Yep.
But it doesn't take a rocket scientist or a football Einstein to determine with strongest position group. And did I say Redskins? Washington Commanders.
Same thing.
Yeah,
same thing.
The strongest position group of the Washington Commanders is the defensive line. I mean,
absolutely.
Oh, those two D tackles.
Yeah,
they were teammates at Alabama. They both been Pro Bowlers. I mean, you know, it kind of starts with those guys, but that whole group up front, that's a serious group, isn't it?
It is, man. It is. It's I've played these guys over the last, 7 years. Seems like every year I've gone up against the Commanders in some way, shape, or form in the preseason, regular season, and man, I mean, they play so well together. As you mentioned, the interior guys with John Allen, Deron Payne are so good, and then now you add in the mind of Dan Quinn, who's obviously. We know what he's done, obviously, from his previous stints in Dallas and Atlanta. And then you look at some of the pieces that they've been able to add. And Bobby Wagner, I mean, he's still one of the best middle linebackers in the league. It's a very talented defense, and they do a great job schematically. And, man, we'll have our hands full as usual. But, you know, and my message to the team this year has been simple, man. Personally, I don't think it's about anybody else but us. You know, we take care of us. We're enough. And, you know, being yourself is enough. We're here for a reason. We're all here for a reason. And, man, these guys are talented, not to take anything from them, but so are we. And, you know, man, we put in the time, the work and effort. You know, we just got to go out there and put it on film.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. You know, Dan Quinn, the head coach, was defensive coordinator in Dallas.
Yep.
And he went down to Dallas. You got Joe Jr., who was his pass game coordinator, as his defensive coordinator. And, you know, so there's a big Dallas influence. And they picked up Armstrong and Fowler, former Dallas Edge guys. You know, they got those guys reunited again. So, you know, stands to reason. It's like, man, you know, maybe we just watch a little tape of Dallas Cowboy defense as well as Washington Commanders defense and see what kind of similarities there are there a little bit. You know, I mean, a lot of that. That's a big part of it, though. That kind of thought process, that's part of everybody's protocol to get ready to play at a high level. The mental part of it's big, isn't it?
Yeah, it's huge, man. It's huge. And, you know, a lot of times, especially with defensive coordinators, they are who they are. You know what I mean? These guys are who they are and who they've been. And, man, I feel like, you know, it's he's who he is who he is. And so, you know, man, Coach Taylor and his staff will figure out everything. Lou and his staff will figure out everything. And man, I'm sure we'll be ready to go by Monday night.
So what's the biggest message? You've been around the league and been around the league successfully at an extremely high level. You know, there's young guys, you know, what do you say to Dejan? I mean, everybody's been in that type of situation. I mean, that's about as tough an adversity as you can think of. And it's not just one guy, but he feels like it's him. I mean,
Yeah.
How do you help young bucks like that get over things like that?
Yeah. I mean, man, honestly, like, I hate that it had to happen, because it didn't necessarily have to happen, but I'm glad that it happened, because at the end of the day, man, this is a guy we're going to need to count on for years moving forward. And
Yep.
so it's better to be able to experience these things as a younger player. Myself, I remember I ended my rookie season on a sack fumble in the playoffs, you know what I mean, on a game-winning drive. So, man, I've been there before and felt good about the way that I played or the way that things have happened. But at the end of the day, man, it's a guy. Man, Dejan loves the game of football. He's got a ton of passion for what he does, and he's a craftsman. And he knows right from wrong and what he can do to get better. And that's why he's here. And that's why he was able to make the team and make a lot of plays in training camp for us. And so, man, our coaching staff knows that. Everyone in our building knows that. His teammates, us, his peers, we all know that. So, my advice to him, man, is just learn from it. It's a good thing that it happened, now, because when it's the same play, the same situation, and it's the end of January, the AFC Championship in Paycor Stadium, and the ball's coming to you or whatever it may be, you understand, you know how to put yourself in position now, you know what to expect, and you'll be able to make the most of that situation, and we'll be able to move on to the Super Bowl in New Orleans.
So in every team's different, and from a year-to-year standpoint, the team changes, the turnover of personnel, both veteran free agents, college free agents, draft picks, the whole 9 yards. But teams handle, taking care of things from a player standpoint in the locker room a lot of times the same ways. Veteran guys like yourself kind of, handle that aspect, take control of things. You have utmost confidence that this football team will proceed with the proper mindset. I mean, you don't have to like call team meetings and all that sort of thing. And, it's like, hey, this football team from week 1 to week 2, I mean, ascending, and that'll continue, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man. And that's who we are as an organization. It's not, we're not the kind of team to be uptight. A lot of times, man, Coach Taylor mentioned this in our team meeting the other day. You don't know if we just beat a team by 50, just lost, if we just had back-to-back losses looking at that Wednesday practice. And so we come out with the same energy, the same mindset to get better every single time we touch the field as a unit. And that's one of the reasons, man, that we've been able to be so successful. And we'll continue to be successful because we've got that understanding of perseverance. And on top of that, man, we've got a veteran-led team. We've got guys that have been in it, that have been in the nitty-gritty, that have played in the big game, that have won the big game or lost it. So, man, we've got a lot of good talent and a lot of guys with a great mindset.
You've been through a tremendous amount of experiences from a football standpoint, life in general as well, obviously, but from a football standpoint. But man, a guy like you, everything you've been through all these years, you've had tremendous successes individually and collectively as a team. And you've had, everybody has their ups and downs, but it seems like your approach, your mindset, how you project yourself on your football team, man, that stays at such an even high level.
Yeah. No, my going back to my rookie year, I remember Michael Crabtree mentioned to me during training camp within the first week, you never want to peak too early in this league. And that always really stuck with me because once I finished my rookie year, I remember as rookies, me, Lamar, Mark Andrews, Hayden Hurst, Zach Sealer, Deshaun Elliott, we hit that rookie wall in the wild card round in the first week of the playoffs. And I remember thinking to myself, like, I know exactly what he means. Like, you never want to peak too early in the game of football. And so to me, not to say that has an effect on my urgency, but that's how I see it. You never want to peak too early. You want to peak at the right times. You want to be playing your best football in January, December, on into February. And, that's always been my mindset and approach, man, since I've been in this after my rookie year, you could say.
I remember my first game, my rookie year, in pregame warmups. I mean, I was like playing like it was a Super Bowl,
Oh yeah, tired out there first drive.
I'm like, it's like we don't even have pads on, we're shorts and I'm flying, I'm going nuts, man. And a couple of veteran linemen like, hey, Youngblood, man, chill out, calm down. You're not going to be able to make it to halftime the way do stuff. But it is crazy though how man, you have to adapt and adjust to the emotions of the game, right? I mean, you have to learn that as much as you learn anything else. There's no question. I mean, literally, I can remember when I did play in the Super Bowl, how I felt, and it was very, very similar to how I felt my rookie year. So that helped me with my Super Bowl experience, going through that rookie experience, and chill it out, calm it down a little bit. It's crazy though how you can get that adrenaline it's real, man. No doubt, right? It's real.
It is real. It is real. I've had my own share of experiences, man. Taking the field, excited, and it's 90 degrees, and man, the saying, man. You might have to bleep this out, but blow your load too soon. I've experienced that as well. So it's not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling.
It's not, man. You learn a lot. You learn a lot in this game. And you've learned a ton, man, because you are as good as there is. And I appreciate you carving time for us and some of this downtime. And body's good, right? Everything feels good?
It is, man. Body feels good. Mind is good, man. I'm ready to go.
All right. Enjoy time. Have some fun. And get ready for the Washington Commanders. Here they come on Monday night.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you having me on, Lap. Thank you, man.
My distinct pleasure. You're the best. Appreciate you, Orlando.
Yes, sir.
Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realized self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team.
Opportunity knocking.